Hi everyone, this is Sunny from Hercha Tea.
Andy.
This is our very first video on Instagram with us being in the video, and we decided to talk about green tea today. So I will go over a little bit about green tea in general and then talk about the green tea Hercha is offering, and then go a little bit deeper into the taste profiles and then brewing methods. And at the same time, we will brew a nice cup of green tea and enjoy it while talking about all these steps.
Before going any further, you may have noticed that we're not wearing any facial coverings. Obviously, we are from the same household. That's the reason. Otherwise, under any other circumstances, we would be wearing facial coverings to prevent COVID-19 from spreading.
Awesome. So without further ado, I want to start with talking about what is green tea. Obviously, there are different varieties of Chinese teas, and green tea is perhaps one of the most well-known type of Chinese tea.
And the most consumed one, arguably, in China.
Yes. So for most Chinese tea drinkers, they prefer Chinese green tea over oolong, black tea, pu'er, although pu'er tea is gaining its popularity in recent years. So green tea is really a way to categorize a specific process. So when the tea leaves get plucked from the tea tree, if it's withered, pan fixed, tidied, and then dried, it's green tea. It's also a way to refer to low oxidation tea. And while there are different names, you guys must have heard, there are Maojian, there are Maofeng, there are Longjing, there are Anji Baicha. So what make those tea unique or special in their own ways? Well, it has to do with the sub-cultivations. Although all teas are made from the same plant, throughout the years, some bushes will have more unique taste profile than others. So once the tea farmer discover a really unique cultivation, they kind of plant the branches into multiple places in the tea farm and grow even more. So that's the cultivation. You can see that as the clone of the original tea cultivation that carried that surprising and unique flavor profile. And
Generally speaking, the green teas usually come from bushes, smaller
bushes, yeah,
teas.
Right. Because the best way to enjoy green tea is to enjoy the first pluck from spring, where the leaves are really tender and juicy and aromatic. So how the process works, I kind of quickly went over the plugging and withering. So plugging has two ways, either using the machine or by hand. If it's by hand, then experienced worker would pick 2 leaves or 1 leaf and the tip from the top of the tea tree.
There is a special way of plucking it. It's very fascinating. And when you look at the hands of those pluckers or the master tea artisan, you can see that these hands have been around, have plucked.
Yeah, so tea leaves are actually super high in pH value, meaning they're alkaline. So over time, as your fingers getting in, for a long period of time, as your fingers getting in contact with those leaf juice, it becomes rough, and you can almost see like a white powder-ish residue on the surface. And that's because they're constantly in direct contact with the leaves without having opportunities, to wipe it off or anything. And you may ask, why don't they wear gloves? Well, there are a lot of reasons why they don't wear gloves. For one is that they actually using their nails to plug it, and by wearing gloves, you're not going to have the same strength.
Well, you can damage the.
Yeah, you
leaves.
Want to make sure the new leaf that growing out of the tea trees are still
gentle.
Straight and proper. Yeah, so that's part of the reason. So hand plug obviously is going to be more premium than machine plug, because you have more control over what leaves you get harvest, and also there is no excess branches or long stems underneath the part you actually want, where you would enjoy your flavor really.
And because of that much labor involved, as you can imagine, hand-plucked teas are much more expensive, and they are limited, small batch, so to say, as opposed to a large manufactured or machine-plucked, mass-produced.
Even if for a very experienced worker, there's only so much fresh leaves they can harvest a day, And then for certain tea farms, the artisan has very strict standards. We talked to one of the green tea artisans. He said, I actually want them to walk downhill to bring us the fresh leaves to the withering field when it's half full. The reason being, when the leaves are fully stacked there, the bottom batch is going to start its fermentation process.
As you can imagine, what Sandy is trying to say is that they have these baskets where they where they carry in their bags, and they put the freshly plucked tea leaves. So as you pluck, obviously your basket is getting fuller and fuller. The leaves that are underneath of the basket, potentially under the heat and pressure, can be damaged. So the farmer, generally, if they are careful with their quality standards, they will be very strict about that, and they will ask their pluckers to, walk a few minutes back to the where they wither the studio.
Sometimes these people are known individuals that are seasonal workers.
Yeah.
They've been helping the family to harvest tea during harvesting seasons for years. And some can be, like, if the artisan has a big family
members.
It can be all family members.
It can be a ceremony. It can be something that these tea farmers are looking forward to, because these are the times that they can, spend some time with their grandchildren, with their children.
It's a day of hard work, but then at the end of the day, they sit down, they have dinner. It's a very interesting experience. Yeah.
And it's built in that those stories, those experiences, I think they're built into each tea, whether it's Hercha tea or any other tea.
Yeah. And one thing I would like to share, if you are curious whether the green tea you purchase is hand-plucked or machine-plucked, you can pay attention to the dry leaves. If each piece is consistent, if there are long stems underneath it, or if you see some that actually included much bigger leaves than it should be, those are indication either the hand-plucked worker plucked much deeper than he or she should do, or it's being done by the machine, consistently cutting off by the machine. Yeah.
And when you have a luxury to be actually in the fields of the tea trees, then you can. It's easier to notice that the tree has been plucked. By machine.
If it's machine pluck, it looks just like how you would trim your garden, right? Yeah. It's a straight
very
cut.
Consistent.
But if it's hand plucked, it's like a hairstyler using a scissor to trim your hair. There's like a very natural arch, as if this tree just naturally shedded like its tip and buds off. Yeah.
And there are different types of green tea, like you said, the Longines.
There are different types of
different
green
regions,
tea.
different terrains. Arguably, all of them are using the same tip.
Yes.
One tip, two leaves, or one tip, one leaf. But the process of making those teas are different.
Yeah, one easy to explain process is that after they pan fix, which is to have a hot wok, and then they dry the leaves with their bare hands in the wok, and getting it more dehydrated after the withering process. But then you notice that Longqing is a very flat shape, right? The leaf is completely flat. You can see the two leaves are separating from each other. And later on, we're going to show our green tea, which is Anji Bai Cha. They just kept its natural shape. It's a little bit...
it's a needle-looking
shape with a little arch on the tip. And then...
It hasn't been flattened.
In Anji, they call this the phoenix tail. You'll be the judge if it looks like a phoenix tail. And you also have the gunpowder, which is rolled tea. And you also have Maofeng, which is slightly flattened, but not as short as Longqing. Yeah, so there are different ways to shape it, and that's another way, like, for drinkers to know what type of tea they're buying.
So do you want us to maybe brew and then
let's start brewing, and then we're gonna talk a little bit more.
Our green tea. Fresh.
Very fresh, yes. So may I just take one leaf so I can show to the camera? Okay. Yeah, so this is what I mean when I say like a phoenix tail. So it's not flat. It's just needle because its tip, it's really, really thin and delicate. So when you dry it, it curls as it dehydrates. And it's a little bit tilted, like in this shape. So that's what you're looking for. At the same time, notice this is split between two leaves. Anything after that is the stem. And notice there's like a really short stem on this one.
So 180 degrees Fahrenheit generally, and we're
yes.
using the regular kettle that has the temperature control buttons over here. You can buy it in pretty much any store or Amazon.
Yeah, this is actually a lifesaver, especially
In China, because the whole country drinks more tea and they're very particular about everything, you can find more tools, more different kettles.
Yeah.
You have options, but here I think this is the most comfortable and convenient.
This has been working really well.
Yeah, it has been.
And we're using a Gaiwan, so for green tea, you can do the grandpa style using a tall, thick glass cup.
If you are on the go, for example.
Yeah, you can also, or at home.
Or at home.
Yeah, and the reason why we use this is because this is a really neat portion. We get to, this is the perfect amount for two of us, and you get to see the leaf expanding in there. And to be quite honest with you, like I really enjoy doing Gaiwan, even though it is a little bit more, work.
I could have just poured the leaves into this one
here,
and
and
just
then we
put the
can
water
show.
in there.
Green tea, some of you guys might have this kind of tea filter at home. We use this, and this is a super helpful thing for a lot of like brewing sessions. But for green tea, I would recommend not to use this, because if you're buying really high quality green tea, on the leaf there are those white hair or white fuzz, and that has a lot of aroma and nutrition. If you're using this kind of fine mash filter, it would just capture that on the
Do you
nut.
want to use it today or no?
So let's not use it,
Okay.
And if by not using a filter, you see your tea is not fuzzy with hair inside, but cloudy, unclear with a lot of small little broken tea leaf particles, that's another indication that after drying, so after pan fixing and drying, the tea farmer didn't do much sorting. So a lot of the broken bits are left in there.
Smells really good.
It smells really good.
Green tea is my everyday tea.
Yeah.
Every morning I start with green tea. Not by any means favorite.
Go.
This is the first brew. After this we can do probably maybe 2-3 more brews, depending on your taste, how strong you want or how soft you want. But
usually the first steep, how many minutes did you do?
I usually do 1 minute for the first steep because the leaves are dry, dehydrated, so you leave it a little bit longer for them to rehydrate. And for the second, third, fourth, etc., or specifically for green tea, I don't know, maybe 20, 30, 40 seconds, depending on, again, your taste profile. But also I think it's important to mention that the temperature is very important, about 180 degrees Fahrenheit. And we use spring water from store, or filtered water if you have one of those things in your sink. The reason is that if you use regular tap water, there are added chemicals in there, like chlorine.
Especially like the core.
It has some smells, and you don't want it to ruin your high quality tea. And for that reason, we highly recommend it to use store-bought or filtered, kind of filtered water.
But if you want to go to like the
Extreme
ultimate standard, then you want to use like spring water fresh from the nature, clean
Mountains,
river water, melted
lake,
snow from the mountain.
Clean snow, or after the rain, collected that rain drops, or
as pure as possible.
Yeah. And the leaves here, and it's nice.
Yeah, I can use my hand.
It is so nice and fresh and tasty. Sometimes I even eat the leaves after brewing the tea.
Yeah, why not?
And people have dishes. They cook.
Yeah, so if you want to get the most out of it, you can stir fry this with shrimp. You can, this already brewed, so put it with some olive oil to get it crispy again. Saute with some seafood or meat.
We haven't tried it. We haven't tried, but
we haven't tried it at home.
Yeah.
But we had ones in the restaurant.
Yeah.
Like Longqing shrimp. That's really good. Yeah.
So this was our first video. We hope that you like it, and we will try to continue doing some more videos. And if you have any questions after we post this video in our Instagram page, feel free to write them down on the bottom, and we will respond accordingly. Other than that, thank you very much for your
Thank you
time.
so
Thank you for
much.
watching. Be safe and have a wonderful day.
See you next time.
See you next time.